Who said there's no new content in Star Citizen? We have this video. Guys, welcome to the channel and reacting to Inside Star Citizen Mission Statement 324. Okay.
The upcoming Alpha 324 has a variety of life in the verse changing aspects, including the
Yes, for the worst.
personal persistent hangars, freight elevators, and the next step forward in physicalized inventory. But with these changes come a new era in cargo-specific mission content. Different than the commodity runs you might be used to, we spoke in depth about this in our recent Making Missions 2 episode of Star Citizen Live, which you should check out if you haven't already. Your Nick did great. And on this week's ISC, they're joined by Elliot and yet another Nick to show you these new cargo missions and reintroduce us to the long-mentioned Blockade Runner global event.
So how many of these do you think you've done at this point?
Videos for you, I don't know, over 20.
You still like doing them?
Yeah.
This is the third one, so I guess I've done 2 before this.
This will be my second.
What was your first one?
Also Blockade Runner.
This your first one?
Uh-huh.
You nervous?
Tiny bit.
They gotten easier or harder?
Easier. When I first started, I was focused too much on the camera, and that was making me
1 minute in, nothing about the game.
think too much.
When there's a camera pointed at you, it's still a little bit different than just speaking to people, but...
I've tried to look at you or thought that the camera was someone. It made it easier because it felt like I was just talking to someone instead of looking at a machine trying to be perfect.
So you stopped trying to be
Trying to be perfect in Star Citizen. Yes, of course, sweetheart.
perfect.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm just like, yeah.
That should have been easy for you.
Until the threat set in this sector has been resolved, civilians are advised to avoid engaging in space travel.
Blockade Runner is an event that focuses on cargo hauling and space combat.
The inhabitants of a station ask for aid. The bad guys have blockaded one of these stations, and the citizens there need help to get certain supplies from outside to go back in.
The idea with it is that you would have someone who flies a cargo ship and loads up full of cargo, and then have a bunch of escort ships that help fight them. However, the way they now have to get the cargo means they have to actually go and extract it from pirates who have taken it from the station.
We wanted to make a cargo-based event because a lot of our current events are really heavy on combat. And cargo's been kind of underutilized on the global event scene, and we thought it would be fun to work that into our usual design.
It's always the same thing. It's always, I mean, seriously, I'm not mean or anything. Neither is Kimura. We're not bad people. We don't hate this. We would actually see this do well. But they always do the same thing. And maybe this time they'll give you more money. I don't know, I guess. But there's nothing really new here for you to do. You're going to be moving boxes. Instead of really doing large cargo runs, that's all dead. That's gone. Once 324 comes out, you'll have to move individual, one-by-one boxes, with anyone at any point running into your ship and taking it away. Oh, higher security, okay. Yeah. Who wants to do this? Who thinks it's entertaining to wait someone else loads boxes? And this is insane. We are wasting our time with this.
The response we saw from Xenothreat, when we first put Xenothreat out, we really liked when we saw players working together in kind of like a Dunkirk type moment where one person had pulled up, just opened the ramp, a couple of people had cleared the wreck already, and then they're all just throwing cargo into the back of someone's ship. They don't know this person. They've not talked to them, but everyone understands their role in this space they've created. And there's people who are flying above, sort of also protecting against the waves of Ninetales that were coming to the wreck. And it was just this beautiful mix of people who just all kind of knew exactly what role they fit into and asked no questions and just got the job done. We wanted to recreate that feeling in its own event.
The amount of times you had to just abandon the thing, I mean, the amount of times that it just crashed and ended for you all the time. The amount of people just, yeah, and forget about anyone wanting to grief you and just shitting around everything.
So the flow of Blockade Runner is when you start the mission, you will receive marker points of potential sites where a pirate could be that has stolen cargo from the station that's requesting its return.
A hostile enemy force has attacked one of the LEOs throughout Stanton, and they've stolen a great deal of Zeta Prolanide from it. This Zeta Prolanide's been shipped out, it's being carried away, and the remainder of the enemy force has stayed behind, surrounding the LEO in a blockade. It's up to players of the verse to chase down these enemy ships that contain the stolen material, defeat them in combat, reclaim the material.
Either via the use of distortion weapons to make sure you get every piece of cargo that's on board the ship, or via killing it and maybe getting less, but you run less of the risk of dying yourself.
Once they do recover the stolen material from the ships scattered throughout space, they'll have to make their way past the blockade and return it to the LEO.
There will be ships flying around that you have to actually disable while trying to land, or else you could lose all of your cargo.
Either way, their goal is to land safely at the LEO.
Mercury Star Runner, really? You're going to be doing combat with a Mercury Star Runner. A ship you could not give less of a fuck. Now you want to present it as a viable alternative for doing ship combat in a game that you made specifically so that this ship is useless. It has 2 size 2 shields. You get shot down by a boomerang. You are pathetic flying this thing, and you are horrible people for showing it here as if it was realistic.
With the stolen material on. And once they have that, they get to use our fancy new cargo elevator mechanic to return the stolen cargo to the station.
The reward for Blockade is based off of participation. There will be, similar to Xenothreat, there'll be a bar that fills up with contribution, and every time that bar kind of ticks over, you'll get a payment, and then you'll get a big chunk at the end when all of the SCU amount of cargo has been retrieved back to the station.
Right, so let me cut you here. The big problem with this is you don't even have to do anything, and this is something you see. All of the shills that don't even play the game, many of them probably don't even know it, so it's not just shilling. There's going to be a lot of people that know exactly what I mean and pretend it's not real. There's going to be a lot of people that don't even have an idea. But the reality is that with events like Xenothreat, there's a bunch of people that just sit in the station because why even bother? Why even do the same thing time and again? So while I've done it myself many times, I did a couple times to upload a video showing how it is. But then, you know, one of the conveniences of Star Citizen is you can keep on working or doing something else or even watching a YouTube video while your dude sits there in the station. Every once in a while you check it out. That's it. You don't have to participate. There's no way of verifying if you're actually making an effort or not. So anyone that logs in and goes into the mission and accepts the thing, you will just get paid just as if you had been participating in it. So a lot of people simply don't participate. And why would you participate in something as boring as what we're being offered here? Horrible combat thanks to master modes. Terrible balancing of ships thanks to the greed that CIG is known for. Why would you waste your time?
So to get all of the cargo, I'd recommend using distortion weapons and boarding the ship. This way you can ensure that you get everything out of the cargo hold. Whereas if you do it the other way, you know, you go from this 100% sort of loot to maybe...
Does that actually fit the Mercury Star Runner? The old Mercury Star Runner where nothing fits? You're going to be fitting that thing, that giant ass box? Yeah, I like to see that.
This way you can ensure that you get everything out of the cargo hold. Whereas if you do it the other way, you know, you go from this 100% sort of loot to maybe 30%. There's going to be a big difference to encourage a different type of gameplay that players aren't really used to playing in our game.
I think a lot of the game loops in our game are a bit drawn out, and I like to think that you can get into the action pretty quick with this, and it's a relatively tight game loop, all things considering. I hope people will be able to jump in and out of it as they see fit and have a good time.
In addition to Blockade Runner, we're also adding a bunch of hauling missions that also utilize the freight elevator and instance hangars we're going to get.
With the introduction of freight elevators, we can now make missions that we were never able to make before.
Up until now, we haven't really had any missions which allow you to use your cargo grid. You won't have to go to various different parts of a station or find a ground station to get your land vehicle. You'll be able to get everything you need for your trip organized in one place.
Now,
you already could do that. You could already do that instantly anywhere by accessing your inventory. You tap on I, access your inventory anywhere. Now you physically have to stand in front of a little screen in a video game where everything is fake to begin with, just to waste more time. And wait until an elevator brings up a box, and wait until you load it. You could already do that. Yes, you could just drop in a station by, it appeared, and you just assume that some tractor beam of some sort moves stuff in there, right? You could care enough to actually physicalize that if you want, or not. Let's just not go into the details, but now we actually have to bring each damn box into the thing. Okay.
I can just go to my hangar and there's an ASOP terminal in there and I can watch my ship go down and come up and I can have all my boxes out. The ability it gives me to build the missions that I love is insane.
So for me as an economy designer, freight elevators means that I can reward players for new game loops and different types of activity that they haven't been able to fully play before, such as loading and unloading your cargo.
That's the activity, load and unload. That's the fun activity. Like it's like Step Brothers, you know, the Will Ferrell movie. Like, we can do activities here. Imagine all of the activities. The activity is what? You asshole. What is the activity? Moving boxes around? That's the activity? No, you were a lot better off just landing your ship, going to the terminal, buying, and then taking off. No, now you have to physically move each one box. And is there going to be a massive, enormous reward that compensates for that? No, of course not, because you can't have money in game. You have to buy ships with real money. So it's going to be awful rewards, very little money being made, and wasting a ton of time.
Figuring out logistics and actually allowing players to monetize that effort.
Why? Why are you moving the little... What is it that you're going to do with it? I mean, what is it that you do with it? For what critical mission do you need it? It's just about wasting time and just pretending there is something for you to do with it. I have my little Pulse motorcycle bike. What is it there for? You carry it around, yeah. You know, even when making an effort to role play something, there's no point to it. Why would you try? Why would you drag around the little golf cart? What purpose does it?
And get a suitable reward for it. So the more time and effort that it takes to use the freight elevators and do the hauling missions effectively, the more opportunities I have as an economy designer to find the appropriate rewards for players for that game.
Yes, and what is that? 10K? 15K? You nerf the crap out of everything, so we know you're not going to be giving anyone any big reward. That's been the decision that's been made already. Nah, it's going to be ships are 5 times more expensive and you make 5 or 10 times less money than before.
And I don't want to see any Reddit threads on the rewards for these missions, because at the time of filming, we're still weeks away.
Ah, yes.
That means the numbers you see in this episode aren't the real numbers. Don't go to Reddit. Give this guy a break. They'll be real by the time the thing comes out.
Don't complain. Don't make noise. Just pretend you're an idiot that you've been lied to for over a decade now. And yeah, that's what you need to do. Shut up. Go buy a ship.
You might be thinking, well, we've been moving boxes for a few years now.
You might think that. No, that's what we've actually been doing. It's not that we think we're unrealistic things. That's the only thing we've had. Now you want us to move even more boxes, larger boxes, for less money.
Those delivery missions already exist. What makes cargo hauling missions so special? Well, in cargo hauling missions, we're actually allowing you to move real commodity containers with real value through the verse. You're not stuck with 1 SEU boxes. If you're asked to move 400 SEU, those will actually be intelligently packed by the system into different container sizes, which means you'll be able to load them up on your cargo grids for your cargo ships the way you've always wanted to organize them.
I don't need to want to... The way they gaslight you is incorrect. You have to give them credit. So, oh, now they're real boxes. What? When I bought cargo and it appeared that those were not real 200 SEU boxes, they were. I mean, you could get pirated. You could get those stolen at any time. It happens often enough. That's nothing different from what we've already had. It's just less convenient. It's not about me wanting to organize. What the fuck is organizing cargo even? What place it in what place? Are you joking? No, it's a lot better to just have that inside your ship and take off, not have to move each box.
These missions will handle high volume of cargo. These missions are built for people who are going to own a caterpillar, people who are going to own a Hull C. These are mimicking a logistical framework that's going to be needed in, you know, a system, a universe this big to transport the goods to and from different locations.
Let me give you some examples.
It does not exist. What he's suggesting there, or just letting it float, it does not exist. There's no real economy. There's no real need for your 200 SCU of iron in Everest Harbor to build weapons for the next Xeno threat event. That's all just wishful thinking. That's all hyping things that are not there, do not exist, and they're not planning for any of that to exist because it's far too complex and you don't have any kind of real economy here. They just pretend there is one for this little bit of a time. Just now, let's just pretend. And then when all of your effort is worth shit, then we just, oh, well, it's a game, man. This is alpha. We're balancing stuff.
You find a mission where a few different outposts on the surface of Hurston have mined some iron, and you've got to bring it up to Lorville, where then it can be transported further from there. So you go to each of these outposts, you up to...
Because, yeah, because he's freaking out. He's freaking out about people complaining in Reddit. This is why. This is why he's freaking out about people complaining in Reddit, because they plan to pay you 4K. Reward. Collect iron. Deliver. Contract deadline 4 hours. Okay. So you're getting paid less than delivering a fucking box. 4K contract. 4K. Why on earth would you do this? Oh, it's not going to be 4. Guys, it's going to be 5. It is shit. You're taking us for idiots. That's what you're doing.
You've got to bring it up to Lorville, where then it can be transported further from there. So you go to each of these outposts, you land at that location, and there, in the warehouse of that outpost, those containers will be waiting for you where you can call it up through the freight elevator. You load it up into your ship.
And at that time, anyone that wants to have fun pissing you off, which is at this point increasingly the number of players that you often come across, it is because there's nothing really new for you to do, because there's no fun to be had, because, I mean, wasting time in actually making the game makes no point. You just focus on selling more ships, because there's nothing else for you to do. The idea of fun for an increasing number of people is fucking around with you, pissing you off. So they will go in there and steal the ship the moment you deliver that last box, and maybe find some place in, you know, on the illegal side of things and selling it in Breaker's yard or whatever it is. Which is, it is okay. I mean, that's what the game allows. That's what the game allows, because they're lazy, because they are mediocre. They do not care about making a game here. So they do this crap, and then if you get mugged and oh, you should have higher security. What? Security in an armistice area where you cannot use guns? Okay, yeah.
And then you figure out what the next location is, and the next location, and the next location. And you can basically do those in any order you like.
You'll have single pickup, single drop-off, so that
6K rewards.
This could be picking up from the LEOs around ArtCorp, the Lagrange points, for example, and taking it to Area 18 or to Beijing Point, the station above. Then you'll have a multi-pickup and a singular drop-off. And then the opposite of that, which is singular pickup to multi-drop-off, could be the complete opposite, where you go from a Hurston DC to 2 other outposts delivering goods. It also lets us do a first static setup of what is being called StarSim, where we can test out the flow and then actually make the...
Completely pointless now to run anything like illegal stuff and sell it in yards and such, given the amount of time that it now takes. I mean, For the shells, they have no idea. But for those of us that have actually played these last couple of years of the game, it is a matter of seconds between landing, running, selling, and your ship blows up. And there's a little bit of excitement there, as little as we can have. But yeah, there is something there for you to have a little bit of fun and tension. What would be the point now to just land and have to? Oh, you have to bring a big crew. Yes, a big crew. How many fucking retired neckbeards are there that have enough time to waste for that kind of shit? How many people on? Oh, your org. Okay, yeah. So it's going to be a game for like less than 1% of the player base. That's the amount. Less than 1%. It's going to be it's going to be one in 100, or it's going to be one in 1,000. The amount of players that actually have people at their disposal at any time they have a free moment to play a little bit, to have someone, a real human, waiting for them to I don't even know what take off. Again, you cannot use a gun in these armistice areas. Maybe in the illegal ones, yeah, maybe there, yes. Who the fuck has that kind of people at their disposal? Are you paying for someone with real money? This is just a joke.
Dynamic side of it work where we can balance it based off of the needs and wants of the actual locations.
Shut up. Stop it. Stop treating us like idiots.
The work that I was involved with missions with Yorit was to use the EVR algorithm that I created to make sure that all of the effort that you put in has a commensurate reward. EVR stands for effort versus reward. The EVR algorithm is a general balancing algorithm we've developed that takes into account the time and the difficulty of what you're doing, and it gives you a reward that is appropriate for that.
Guys, take it easy. I mean, calm down. It's the EVR that says that you're gonna be paid 4, 5, 6K. It's the EVR. So if it's the EVR that says that after fucking 2 hours of dodging griefers and pirates and dealing with all of the bugs, my time is worth 6K of something that I still will lose in the next wipe. It would be, crazy to question that, because it's the EVR that says so.
So if you do something that takes a long time but isn't very difficult, or if you do something that takes a short time but is very difficult, you're going to get appropriately rewarded.
Yeah, 2K more.
So obviously this kind of thing, effort and reward, isn't a new concept. It's been around since the beginning of computer games. But as the economy team moves forwards and we work on all of the exciting new features that are coming out, we're really happy to be able to bring this kind of coherent approach to the entire game economy.
In the end, cargo hauling missions aren't about how good you are at shooting the bad guys. It's about figuring out which hulls the universe needs. And ultimately, it's about having fun delivering some boxes. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, it's about having fun, doing the same thing you've been doing before, but worse and with less reward, in a game that still gets wiped all the time. So what would be the point of making much of an effort here at anything? Nothing. Just make sure you feel frustrated enough to say, fuck it, I want to fly my MSR, I want to fly my C2, so yeah, I'll go spend the real money. That's it, guys.
So what did we learn this week?
Yeah, we learned a lot. We learned that we're going to get paid. What was the point in which he said what he said? Because of the reward. There you go. Okay. So there was a point here.
So the flow of Blockade Runner is that feeling in its own event. So the flow of Blockade Runner is when you start the mission, you will receive
100K plus bonus.
The mission, you will receive marker points of potential
that you don't even have to participate. Just accept the mission, go over there, and do something better with your
sites where a pirate could be that has stolen cargo from the station that's requesting its return.
A hostile enemy force has attacked one of the LVOs throughout Stanton, and they've stolen a great deal of Zeta Pro.
Game loops and different types of activity.
This shit, having to waste like 5 minutes to get a gun, this is insane. That they thought we would be okay with that. Having to put each thing in a box. I mean, nothing is really placed anywhere. It's not as if you physically, you store. They invested a lot in animation and you actually do stuff. Yeah, it's all super sim. No, crap. It just, instead of magically disappearing after clicking on I and accessing a general inventory in the area, no. Now you access that same bullshit because there's no realism here, but it's only limited to your ATM. Okay, it sounds terrible. It's awful what they're doing with this thing. 324 is gonna be a fucking nightmare. I don't see why anyone would play this. It's just us that are too hard-headed to understand what this has become. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments below, and have an awesome day. Take care.